Hello, everyone. Welcome into Living with Intention Live. I'm so excited to have my two amazing guests here today to talk about going beyond the boundaries and without, right, losing ourselves in the process. And that's something that happens quite a bit when we have inspiration to do something, when we have that drive, that initial spark, it feels so alive. And then as we get into all the nitty gritty of life, of the work, of the doing, then we tend to abandon ourselves sometimes. And that's what I want to talk about here. As you saw in my intro, I'm a best-selling international co-author for a book. Here it is, and it's Moving Beyond Boundaries. And this is when I realized I had a story to share, and it came out as the lion's roar, because for a very long time, I had been abandoning myself. I had been putting everybody else's needs first. And then when I realized that I had more to share in life, I had the courage to stand up and say, I want more. I want to go back to school. I want to get my degree. I don't know what that looks like yet, although this is my story in the book. Although I knew because I had that passion and that drive. And that's what we're talking about here today. We're talking about still keeping that inspiration without abandoning ourselves. And so this is about choosing the depth, right? The depth of ourselves over the display, over the shininess, and integrity over the momentum, and a lived truth, right? We want to live our truths over inherent, definitions of what success looks like, because there is so much out there. If you just look on social media, you look in magazines, you look at, it's all in our faces of what success should look like. But we don't hear the stories that got those people to the success, all the nitty gritty, right, that we have to go through. So my guests, Samantha and Diana, they both have taken different paths, very different paths, yet both of their work carries and shares a defiance, right? They both chose authenticity over approval in spaces that really reward, the shininess and being in that way, especially as women. I'm just going to say it, as women. And I just want everybody to know that we are here to bring forward these truths and know that this is how we discover more about ourselves in the process. And that's the thread that we're following today, right? The pushing the boundaries without abandoning ourselves, how that passion and discipline and creativity and integrity can coexist without burying ourselves. Excuse me. And this conversation also bridges into with my Bali retreat that I have here, because I'm asking people to come forward. I'm asking them to be seen and to discover more about themselves in the process. This is more than just resetting and restoring here, as we are, integrating different aspects of what it means to slow down and pause so that we can rise, right? That recalibration, that stepping out of the constant demand. And so that way we can reconnect with ourselves and follow our own internal compass. It's always there within ourselves. And that helps us to return with more clarity, right? We all want clarity in a direction in our lives. And then that brings the confidence and a grounded direction, right? Where we want to go, where we want to be led from. And so this is my Bali retreat. It's October 10th through the 17th. It's an amazing experience for both men and women. And this picture was actually taken at one of the temples there. So not only are we experiencing this retreat to let go and to receive more of ourselves, but we're also immersing ourselves into the culture. We're going to this amazing temple that's 3000 BCE, and we have a water purification experience there. And so this picture was taken there with one of my guests, Angela and Wangari, in the background, and there's me looking up. And it was such a beautiful experience. So that's what I love to do with my retreats. It's not just going someplace and doing all the work, but we need to explore. We need to see more of different cultures, different places, connect with other people. It's so important in our lives. And speaking of which, as far as connecting with other people, that's why I'm bringing Sam and Diana up here, because we both met through Mike Asherbranner and the Hounds of Business. So I just want to shout out to Mike for all the work that he does for his community, for us, in creating the Hounds of Business, because it really does foster an environment where conversations like this can happen, right? It's more deep, it's authentic. So if anybody out there is curious, who is an entrepreneur or a business owner who really values aligned growth and this real connection that you'll see today, and a beautiful collaboration, that feels human, I encourage you to connect with Mike or myself to learn more about the Hounds of Business community, because this is what we're here to do. We're here to amplify others and really bring forward their message. That way, people get to know you and who you are and want to celebrate you in the meantime. So without further ado, I would love to bring up my guests, Samantha and Diana. Welcome to
Hello.
Talk Today. Yes, we are here, and we are going to have a pretty deep conversation here. So those of you who just want to skim the surface, that's okay. But here we're going to talk about ways not to abandon ourselves as we are really pushing boundaries with our work, with the community, and with really our own passions. So before we begin and get into the nitty-gritty of it, I would love for you, let's just bring up Sam here. Let's have Sam share uh, first. Sam, introduce yourself. What do you do? What is Eco Sam even, right? As you know, as you're known to your followers and friends.
Hello. Thanks so much for having me. Yeah, I'm Sam Bergdahl, and Eco Sam is an embodiment of who I've kind of always desired to be. Art is my activism, and I believe that what we protect begins with what we notice. I have been living in Belize for the last year and 8 months, and over the course of 2025, I watched thousands of acres of jungle be cut down just outside of my home, outside or right beside billboards that say the animals need the forest needs you, because people are pleading for it to not be cut down, and yet it continues to be slashed and burned. I have friends who have 25 acres in the jungle, and around it has been cleared, and there have been jaguars going back and forth because their home has been cut off. And to me, it just hurt inside. And someone said to me when I was complaining about it, they said, "Why don't you just buy land to protect it?" And I thought, that's a great idea. I don't have the money to do that, but I do have a talent and this desire to see my photography on the walls of people who admire it. And so I figured, why not put the two together? And that's where the Wildland Project and EcoSam was born. It's been a journey of really finding myself and what I truly believe in. and becoming that. So it's, a process of shedding a lot of old layers of self-doubt and resistance to putting myself out there and being seen, and becoming everything that I've desired. I've dreamed about doing work in sustainability for as long as I can remember, at least 15 years. And there's some very key threads along my journey where it's been brought up to me that sounds like something I'm interested in, and I've always brushed it off as something that I couldn't do. But I have a lot of big dreams with the Wildland Project, protecting land just to keep it wild, and also seeing what kind of eco projects I can do that would really benefit the little village I live in and other villages in Belize when we see that it works. So lots of big dreams ahead of me.
Mm. Yeah, and it's so important, and I can't wait to get into the, and this is a pun, weeds with you about all the things that you do, Sam. And before we get into that, yeah, let's bring up Diana. Diana, please introduce yourself and how you are pushing those boundaries and still staying with pure to yourself.
Well, hello, April. First of all, thank you for inviting. It's wonderful to be here, and it's I'm glad to meet you, Sam. Even though um, we're looking forward to do that later, but here we are, three of us, and I think that's great. And I hope our viewers can enjoy the show. Well, regarding the main topic today, basically, um, it is something that I was struggling, from the very beginning as a kid, and it took time and a lot of practice and commitment to learn, determine, establish those boundaries, right? And I learned to push boundaries, not how to say that, not in a negative context, but be able to establish yours, but also sometimes push, as you said, without abandoning yourself. So um, I've been practicing it. The part of it being was learning to say no, and has been one of the parts that helped me to on that journey. When you train, when you commit, when you learn the teamwork, but also you learn how to deal with others people, you realize that you can be the most efficient, and you can be useful for community. You can really have a good commitment and contribution, but not without establishing your own boundaries and being able to say no and push the hurdles that life can give you, and sometimes other people challenging you, and you accept it, right? So yeah, sports and training and coaching, understanding it from the deeper level has helped me to on my own journey. And essentially I just ended up helping others. This is I started working with people through the fitness field. So I became a fitness coach. I worked offline in the beginning, then pandemic hit, I learned English. Surprisingly, but like it's not that long that I speak the fluent English, and that has been one of the best accomplishments and the choices of my life, and that opened a lot of doors. And well, here we are. Since then, I moved more to online and discovered the international client base and audience. At this point now, I'm having a YouTube channel as well, where I share the tips, and both me and my husband, he just is more on the background. But basically, yes, we are talking now. I'm talking about the longevity, the training, the smart approach, healthy habit establishment, and at the same time, I'm showing my journey as um, after amateur boxing years ago, I retired and pursued personal training. But then now this last year, I started training for the purpose of getting back to boxing and stepping into a professional boxing specifically. So I'm also showing
Mm.
that journey. And yeah, that's what I've been doing since then. And it definitely lays on that path of, no, on the topic of pushing boundaries without abandoning yourself, and actually at times rediscovering yourself as that person.
Mm. Yeah, it's so important to remember that who we are when we're going through all of these shifts and growth. It's really important. And I just want to shout out to everybody who's in the audience here. I really appreciate, there's some new people. I know that Diana is also restreaming and Samantha is too. So thank you for coming in. And we are talking about, I see some comments of what are we talking about here? So it's really about pushing beyond boundaries without losing ourselves in the process. That's what we're talking about here. So I hope that is, and I'm just going to throw this up again. Yeah, this is deep and authentic. I love it. We need more of this. And it's really important because that's usually what happens. People get a little bit confused or follow other people's leads instead of remembering who they are and their drive and what brought them to that passion of their work. And so, Samantha, I'm sure I just want to ask you that question. You know, did you get some pushback from friends and family about what you're moving to Belize? By the way, I need to mention that uh, Samantha's in Belize and that Diana is in Vietnam. And so these are very contrasting spaces and places from where they originated from. So, Sam, tell us about what kind of pushback, what kind of, people questioning this motive of you and how you stayed true to your belief and your inspiration for this move and your drive.
Yeah, well, I have been a traveler for the entirety of my adult life. So, as much as my family and friends questioned what I was doing, they are fairly used to me moving around at this point. There was a big question. I'd actually moved here with my ex-partner to start a hostel. He wanted to build a hostel. He bought a building, and I was like, "Let's go! I'm here. I'm ready to get out of the cold." So where I'm at now versus then is very different. And there was a lot of questions around like, what are you doing going to a third world country or a developing country, I would say, because I don't believe it's third world, but a developing country that you've never been to before, sight unseen, and starting a new life. And honestly, I was questioning the same thing as well, but I was ready for sea, sun, and a new adventure. And the thread and the pushback of this traveling life has kind of always come up. When I was 21, I moved to New Zealand for 2 years by myself, and my family was resistant. They didn't want me to live alone on the other side of the world and be away from them. But a really key memory that I have of acceptance was the day that my dad gave me a New Zealand travel book. It was his way of saying, okay, we trust you, we love you, you're doing it anyways, so go on and go forth and live your best life. But truly, there was always this feeling of need for adventure and need for more. And I knew that what I chose the school of life is what I like to say. So my family, my friends, everyone, or mostly my family, they always wanted me to go to university, do the higher education. And I knew that even though I got accepted into the Bachelor of Commerce program and could have taken that route, I knew there was something more for me. And I knew that what was meant for me would find me. And every single time I talk to my family, they say, when are you settling down? When are you going to school? When are you coming home? And I'm like, that's not home for me anymore. I am home when I am in a new and exciting place. I'm home when I'm learning from new people and new cultures. And every experience that I've had has led me to this exact moment where I've finally found what is meant for me. So through all of the pushing, through all of their questioning, they just learned to accept that this is who I am and this is what I'm going to do.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about here is the questioning, and then some people who don't have the strength or to even understand that can make us question ourselves in the process. Am I really doing this? Is this the right thing I should do? My parents, my friends say, it's nonsense, or how can you do something like that? And that you still shine through, Sam, and that you're really living it and showing it through your lens. And we'll talk about that here in a moment. But I just want to highlight Diana, and I know that there might be a little lag there, Diana, with your internet, unless it's on my end. So if you can stay as still as possible, just move your lips and share about what you experienced. I mean, as a professional trainer, as a boxer, as a woman exuding power and strength, what kind of pushback have you received?
First of all, can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
Yes.
Well, yeah, the video is lagging a little bit, but the sound is good. Like I can hear both of you clearly. So I
Good.
don't know what's the problem, but it's fine. We'll push through. Well, thank you for
We
asking
always
that
do.
question. I want to say that I relate to that with Sam in many ways because my family was always, how to say that, I'm the oldest child out of all daughters, so I'm the oldest daughter, and I always been the more responsible one, the one that takes um, kind of makes the decisions, thinks out of the box, and is the responsible one. But that was sometimes, like many times they were proud of it, and many times it's something that, oh, like, why are you doing this, it's like we don't like it. And I'll be honest, as much as I love my family, um I never listened to those objections. It never stopped me, it never even bothered me. I'll be honest, it like didn't really bother me. I always felt that there is so much ahead. I didn't know exactly what it is. Also, until 20s, I didn't speak English, as I pointed out. So my thinking was different. I was bilingual, speak Georgian and Russian, but that was my limit, right? So I was always moving, always here is the boxing training, here is art, here is music, here is, getting better at all of it, communicating with people, do some sort of military training, do coaching and connecting with people, learning English and do it in a bigger scale, right? And I'm glad that I never ever listened to those kind of objections because what people do, they project their own fears and insecurities. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not judging anyone because we all have that, right? And maybe we all project at times on other people too. It's just most of people do that more often, and some uh, it depends on the generation, on the place, on like country and culture. Is it more traditional or more open-minded? All that kind of stuff, right? So yes, it takes that courage, to just step up and believe in yourself, believe in what you're doing, but also be smart, realize that you have to take that responsibility for the potential consequences, right? So yeah, that's kind of another part of it, but sometimes people don't talk about, right? But it is important part. But yeah, essentially, I'm glad that I never listened to it. I also learned, that's one last thing I will say in this question. I learned how to stop pushing it. Like, for example, people oppose me because I want to do boxing. And there's nothing bad I'm doing with it. It's something that I do with my life. It's good for my physicality, for my mentality. But people just say it's not good for girls, for example. Well, I just agree with them. I'm like, okay, it's fine. If you don't like it, it's your way. Can you stop me? They're like, well, no, we cannot. We can't do anything. Well, fine. Then I'll do my thing, right? So
That's
once you
right.
stop getting offended or take that pressure from outside, like you just do kind of how you said it. You do you, and everything's gonna be fine with a smile on the face.
That's so true.
Exactly. Exactly. And not being swayed by other people's, and you said it so perfectly, Diana, their insecurities, because that's what we do as humans, is we project our own insecurities upon others. Like, oh, why would you want to go back to school? Or why would you want to become a personal trainer? Why would you want to move to Belize? Because they're thinking in their mind, hell no, I don't want to do that. So then they're putting that on us. And when you can step away from that, as you've done so bravely, both of you, and witnessing, no, this is mine. This is what I want for me. And you can stay in your lane and do you. I'm good. Right?
So true.
I'm good. So we have all the people chiming in. I'm loving this. People from from Paris. We had somebody, of course, from Mike and the Hounds coming in. People just really inspired by hearing your stories, because a lot of times, as I've seen you live, Diana, and you share about what you're going through, where you're at now in Vietnam, and having people ask you questions about living there, and Samantha, you and your journey with the photography and everything, still there's parts of our stories that they don't hear. And so you coming forward and speaking your truth about how you have come forward without abandoning yourself really helps people to get to know you a little bit more, right? This is what we need. We need to be here and to share these stories. And so I'm going to ask a little bit of challenging questions maybe for you. As a woman, because I can only speak as a woman, in my years, because I have a few more years than both of you. So I'm enjoying your beauty and your youth, as everybody's been commenting here about as well. How do you work through when somebody just sees your image and doesn't take into consideration your intelligence and your bravery and your courage? That you're just not somebody to idolize or to look at and to look pretty, but you can get in there and work in the trenches and do the work because you're committed to yourself. I see you smiling, Samantha.
This is a really interesting
Share.
topic for me, because I feel like I grew up like an ugly duckling, and I always really didn't like my appearance. And I feel like I've had a bit of a glow up in the last 2 years, which would probably have something to do with taking better care of myself. And I am finding more comments on my appearance than I've ever experienced before. And also being in a place where I do stand out with blonde hair and very pale skin, I get catcalled often here. And it's something that I've really had to kind of work through in terms of how I reply. I've really gotten to know the people in my village who typically do yell out now. So they actually call me baby a lot, and I just always say, that's not my name. And then I just like kind of keep moving. I'm like, my name's Sam, like that's not me. And but it took a long time. It's something, it actually makes me kind of go into my shell a little bit and feel somewhat uncomfortable, but I'm learning that it is a natural response for some people, and it is something that I have so much more to offer than that. And I am recognizing that in that moment where I'm like walking down the street, or if someone sees an image, they don't get to see everything, and not everybody will even want to look deeper in the surface. But as I continue to learn who is welcome to have access to my energy and who is going to accept it, I just I know that the right people will find me and they'll want to look deeper. And I appreciate that, beyond what anyone else thinks, I look in the mirror now and I see something that I love. And that was a really long and difficult journey for me. So I just try to remember that at the end of the day, it is about loving myself, being happy with the person that I'm putting forward, knowing that I'm kind to everybody. And I also set boundaries when needed if somebody does make me uncomfortable. And just really knowing that, like, there's more under here. There's a whole journey in life that has shaped me to be who I am. And it may have a pretty packaging, but there's a lot of substance and a lot of knowledge and a lot of love here. So those who can recognize that will, and those who cannot see past can give me a like on my content and engage, and that's great too.
Yeah, we want to hear from everyone too, and what they've experienced also. This is a live conversation. It will be restreamed right on YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook. Although right now we are live. I have comments. Right? Is this live? Is this AI? What's happening here? And I just before we shift to Diana, I want to ask you, Samantha, when was that turning point to where you said you were an ugly duckling and that you started to believe in yourself and see your true value? When did that happen for you? Do you remember?
Like within the last few months, to be honest.
Yes.
It's like in November, I was staying at my friend's place and I looked in the mirror and I, took this picture of myself because I was like, wow, I really like what I see. And it's, not even about the glow up per se. Like if I mention that to like my auntie, I was talking to her last night and I've been taking care of myself. She's like, you look skinny. I'm like, no, like I was just bigger before. And she's like, no, you've been beautiful all this time. And so I think that a lot of people have seen something different than I have, but I have stopped abandoning myself. I used to really let other people's desires and opinions. I was a people pleaser, and I'm a recovering people pleaser now. And because I'm choosing myself, because I'm working on my passion and sharing my voice, and I stopped drinking. I have started going to the gym. I've started making better decisions. I am doing things that empower me now. And so, yeah, it was at the end of November. I looked in the mirror and I was like, I really like what I see. And that's kind of one of the first real times. It's taken years of actually going up to the mirror and I high five the mirror and I will look at myself in the eyes and say, I love you 10 times over until it's like cringy. And it's taken that over and over and over and over again to really get to this place and go, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I want everybody to do that. I challenge everybody, even men here. Do you really, really appreciate yourself? Do you like what you see in the mirror? Can you literally do an eco Sam and high five yourself and tell yourself how freaking awesome you are?
And give
Really?
yourself a hug, and just
Oh,
be like,
that's even
I love
better.
you. Yeah. It's a great way to
Although
start
we're
the
getting
morning.
pushback from Christopher here. I am a man. Yes, you are.
You can
We're
do
proud
that
of
too.
you.
You can do a manly high five, like a
Yes.
double high five or
Yes.
something. I don't know, break your mirror, whatever. Well, don't
Exactly.
do that.
Yeah, Diana, I know you have a lot to unpack or share about this as well.
Well, where to start? Well, I'll start from the point that I think I've been like everyone else. I think both girls and boys, men and women experience it to a certain extent. I'm going to obviously talk on the woman's behalf. Feeling I had the ugly duckling face too, and that also pushed my earlier lives into, you know what, I'm gonna be a personality person. So when I was a pre-teenage years, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go do things, boxing. This I'm gonna be interesting. Um, I would say, despite I had some people who had crush on me and this and that, but I would always say that I am. I'm not beautiful. I'm not too beautiful to do boxing. but I'm also not bad, you know? So I was like, you know what, who cares? I'm like, okay. And I always believed that quite earlier in my life, the personality enhances. So I think that was the right direction as a teenager to go to, because that was the first motivation to be interesting, but also not for pleasing others only, not only be socially accepted, but also do things, let yourself do things that you're interested in, you love, right? But then it evolved to the point that I really learned a lot of things. I accomplished certain things, and keep getting better in the sports. And here is the art. I haven't been showing that part too often at this point, but I'm an actual artist. I have finished the gymnasy at the same time as with the school. So I have like a certificate as an artist, and I did music, and I'm doing a little bit of singing right now, and many other things. Um, so to this point, when it comes to what like your main question, I'm a woman and I'm proud of it. Like, why am I should be apologetic and feeling bad? Catcall me, yes, because I'm good. I understand what you mean. Sometimes you're in a situation like someone might catcall you, and you're like just tired from the training, or you just don't want it. That's completely natural, right? And you're like, ah, that asshole. But generally, I learned how to walk with broad shoulders. I know that I have a musculature that also enhances my confidence, because I am not only fit, I know how to punch. Me and my husband practiced a little bit. I was punching his hand. Obviously, I teach him boxing, and he coaches me on strengths, and we complement each other a lot. And he literally said, and he's a big guy. He said that feels like your punches are hard. So it's like there are a lot of things that helped to build up that confidence. And at some point, I accepted my femininity, and thanks to my husband. That for me, that was the stage when I met the right man, and my best friend, my partner in life, and that was also when my glow up happened. Just naturally, I lost extra weight. I got the braces. Just basic adjustments. Nothing, no fillers, nothing, no plastic. Um, surgeries or anything like that, just the basic enhancements. And um, but most importantly, it's the years of exploring yourself and doing things, and close to our topic, pushing those boundaries despite what others say. So at the point where I am now, I accept my femininity of everything. There are a lot of primitive thinking people. There's, again, I'm not judging, I'm just saying how it is, because most of people, they I cannot even blame them, because they don't have that much education. They don't even want to. They just leave, they do their job, they have some families, and very often they act on the that instinct, right? If we talk about like catcalling or just showing attention, I'm talking about particularly men specifically in this case. And then what? I mean, as long as that man doesn't try to come and harass me and or something like that, and I wouldn't recommend them to do that, because I'm gonna, I'm gonna fight for my life, right? Apart from that, as long as the person doesn't come into my space, it doesn't try to violate it, I'm okay. Let them look. Let them see that I'm completely embracing myself. So I think that helped. That's realizing that I have right people in my life. I'm strong enough. I'm confident enough. I'm environmentally aware enough. I think I look good, but that does not really matter. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
one thing I would say, I also started appreciating. Before, I wanted people to take me as, I can do things. Now I actually prefer people to underestimate me, even for the sake of that effect of boom, like all of a sudden I can do way more than they could imagine. And just in general in life, I think it's way more a winning strategy. And I suggest to women to adopt that strategy. That makes you so much more powerful. Imagine you just don't care anymore. You do you. You know that there are right people who are gonna acknowledge you straight away. Just the way how your presence and energy gives you away, and the way the moment you talk, they're gonna recognize you, right? But from the other people, for the other who would underestimate you, let them do that, because that's going to be in your favor. That's why I think it's a little bit strategic behavior, thinking. But boxing and well, my love to general strategy and tactical approaches. That's that's the reason why I think about it. But I would recommend a lot of girls, because girls shouldn't be insecure, and no one should be insecure because they're themselves, or they look better, or like there's having certain qualities. That's how I would end. I hope I responded to that question, though.
Yes, yes. There's so much depth there, and it's really important to know that, as we started out talking about pushing boundaries and without abandoning ourselves. And some people in the chat are saying, they've had some bullies, they've had, as we talked about catcalls, women experiencing that, and I really appreciate, Diana, you turning it around to where it's more about they see me. I am presenting myself, like you said, I have strong shoulders. I know how to defend myself. I know my boundaries.
And I'm beautiful. And I'm beautiful.
Yes. Yeah. That you're
That's really
beautiful,
beautiful.
Yes.
to receive it.
Let
And
us be beautiful.
yeah, and people are only responding in the way they know how to express that they see the beauty or your resiliency, right? Because we can't judge others for who they are, where they've been, as we're saying, right? So just you owning it and you showing up and doing your live streaming, and Samantha doing your eco-friendly and standing your ground literally in the jungle, and taking those amazing photos to help support and give back to the environment. Both of you are, some people might see you as polar opposites, end of the stick, although I see the commonality of how you have to stand up for yourself and to show that you have the courage and commitment to yourself. First and foremost, nobody can give this to us. I don't care if you're a man or a woman or whatever gender you identify with. Nobody can give it to us. We have to show up. We have to ask ourselves, how am I showing up? How are people receiving my message? And then that brings us to a deeper understanding of who we are as we're in the world. Because it's shown, science has shown how even when we're in a room and we leave the room, quantum physics shows your energy is still there. Right? Your live streamings, your photos, things that you're doing, your energy is being projected. People are receiving it and seeing it. And it's just amazing that we can reach so many people as we're doing here today. Yeah. So we are at 9:44. Wow. We really unpacked a lot. And I just want to get down to, as you're thinking about each of you, of your journey, and there'll still be boundaries to be pushed, right? That's the challenge of life. That's about growth for anybody in their lives, in their business lives, their professions, their professional lives. There'll always be challenges. So how do you rise to meet those challenges? What takeaway message do you have for our listeners here today of how to stay true to yourselves? And Samantha, I'll ask you to go first, if that's okay.
Of course. I think the real key is remembering, like Diana touched on earlier, that projection is real. And oftentimes, without even realizing that they're doing it, if people are giving you their opinion, they are projecting something internally. Just to touch on it really quick, I got my first piece of hate mail last week, and somebody commented on a post that I shared where I'd called myself adorable, which took me like 5 minutes to put with that post, and called me a narcissist. And I knew it really hurt. It took me like 10 minutes of processing that before I could see clearly what had happened. And I looked at their Facebook profile, and they had shared 4 stories about narcissism leading up to that message that they sent me. And it was clear that it was a projection of something that they're dealing with in their internal world. So, really remembering that what other people say to you is a projection of what's happening internally for them. And if you are true and clear on who you are as a person, then that's what matters most. And one of the ways that I work through that is by journaling and writing through the things that I feel. And if I questioned, am I a narcissist? And it was very clear, no. At no point, because I'm constantly worried about how other people feel and making sure that they feel safe. But working through these emotions that come up, allowing them to happen when they do, and then remembering who you are, looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, I'm a good person. I show up with kindness and love. Giving yourself that high five and telling yourself that you love yourself is a really powerful process and journey to walk through. And some days it's harder than others, but if you put pen to paper and you let feelings come out and you sit with yourself long enough to know that other people's opinions are only data points. Maybe someone says, hey, you should do this, and you can find something out of it that works for you, but oftentimes, you have to carve your own path and find your own way. So just remember that you are powerful and you are beautiful, and you have a lot to show the world, and it's important to shine your light.
Well said, Samantha. Thank you so much. Diana, what takeaway do you have to share with the listeners here?
Well, I agree with Samantha, and especially as a starting point, it starts from you. You're gonna get within a peace with your own self, right? Well, however you do that, that's the whole journey. But it's an exciting journey, and it's even for the sake of the journey, it's worth to do, right? But then also start navigating outwardly. Just be flexible. Just be open-minded. Establish certain values. Seek for the truth, or so-called inherent truth. Learn, study. Speaking of the quantum physics, I am very bad. Always been bad at mathematics and physics. However, lately I've been watching and learning, relearning, specifically the information surrounding quantum physics and mechanics specifically, because this is the foundation of our world, and it's explained within the science and how the parallels with Buddhism, for example, and some Eastern beliefs and religions, and just the process of learning within that learning, and learning from the people as well, not only from the written information, but from the people by communicating with. Sometimes you learning how to protect your boundaries, sometimes you just realize that, okay, that person is full of shit and they just project, right?
Yes.
And but at times the universe, or that person, through that person specifically, or just that person telling you something that makes sense, that's something that you needed to hear, to learn. I believe that we are, as individual as we are, each of us, we're still the combination of information and the influences, and that starts from our childhood. Environment shapes us, our family shapes us. We choose at some point maybe where to lean towards to, but we should not forget that it's not only me, we're still connected, right? We're all connected. So having that, preserving that flexibility of, you know what, I'm gonna try to manage my ego, and as confident and as strong, and as Samantha says, you need to feel strong, beautiful, confident, and vibrating, as much as in the situations, you know what, I'm willing to put myself into a student's position. I'm willing to learn from. I'm willing to learn to put myself in a situation where I'm surrounded only by smarter and more educated people. There's nothing wrong with that. That is actually the one of the rare powers, that flexibility, that people sometimes lose. That people grow and grow with the age and grow with the status, and at some point they become too arrogant to do that, because they think, oh, I'm the one who should teach only. But we know that life doesn't work that way, right? It's a constant journey of both. So I would say, I will wrap it up in the whole thing I was talking about shortly into a be flexible, be able to navigate, plays the chess, so a go. You probably know the game. Just life is the journey, and try different paths. Be flexible
Mm.
about it. That's what my take would be.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Diana. And it looks like Chai, if I'm saying your name right, is all in and just subscribe to your channel because of your powerful words and your influence. And that's what we're here to do here, to give
Appreciate
people
it. Thank you.
inspiration. Yes, amazing. Thank you. And Mike's like, let's go another hour. So it's all about this conversations, and we can only have, as you perfectly described, Diana, as we shift our focus of what we're wanting to become, of as we're becoming it, and learning new things, learning from other people. I want to surround myself with smart people, with people who truly appreciate each other. To, just as you said, we're going to attract that. You're going to see that. You're going to receive more of that. Science shows that. So it's nothing that is a big woo-woo stuff. That's from the past. It's more of open your mind. That's it. I wonder, you know, just bringing curiosity in here. And so just shouting out to everybody who has joined us today. Thank you so much, Mike. And I saw some fellow hounds here. Uh, and Royce, and all the comments are just streaming. So I apologize if I can't get everybody up here for the comments, but I really appreciate both of you showing up. And so now the next question is, how do people get in touch with you? Samantha, what is your contact information? How do you want people to connect with you?
Yeah, so I just wanted to say, Diana, you're so inspiring, and I'm really looking forward to connecting with you one-to-one later this month. And thank
Same.
you,
I
April,
think we
for
have so
having
much
me.
in common, actually. I really
Yeah,
do. I already see that. So looking forward.
me too. And if you want to connect with me, I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me as Samantha Bergdahl, and my LinkedIn URL is eco-sam. You can also find me on Instagram. I'm currently doing a 30-day posting every day challenge. So I'm there every day, all the time, trying new things. And it's the_ecosam. And if you want to check out my website and just see a little bit of my photography, it's eco-sam.com.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sam. And Diana, how about you? How do people get in touch with you?
Okay, so what do we have?
I got the LinkedIn link up
Primarily
there.
on, yes,
Thank you.
exactly. LinkedIn, Instagram, uh, YouTube. On my YouTube, there is information to LinkedIn and Instagram straight away. So I suggest for people to check my YouTube, and through there they can find information. And as April said, they can find LinkedIn information, which is more professional platform. So for the professional questions, obviously, LinkedIn is the best. So you can check it here in this live stream under the April's main chart, or however you call it.
Yes, the description. And so is it Redhead Diaries is your YouTube, or what is the
Yeah,
name of the channel?
that's right. Yeah, Red Hat
Okay.
Diaries. I think
Okay.
now it's big enough. I mean, it's 11,300 plus, which is okay, but it's big enough to show up in the search. So when you search it, I'm the one of the people that pops up. So
That's great. Wonderful. Well, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for both of you, Sam and Diana, for being willing to come forward and speak your truth and share about the boundaries that you've experienced and how you've learned to stay true to yourself when you're experiencing those, and then being that light for others as people are popping in, being the light, supporting you. It's just been a lot of fun, and I so appreciate you both being here and having this conversation. And so thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next time. If you enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe, like, make a comment, share with others who need to hear this story. Maybe you know somebody who is going through a space in their life to where they are facing some boundaries and they need more clarity. Reach out to Diana for professional coaching. She's just not just about boxing. She's about other ways of coaching, mentally and physically and spiritually strong. And Sam, and supporting her eco Sam, and saving those beautiful rainforests in Belize, which I'm going to make it out there, Sam. I'm going to see you in that retreat center that your friend is creating out there. I'm so excited for that. So thank you very much for being here. And until next time, everyone, be well.
Thank you so much for everyone listening, and thank you, April and Diana.
thank you very much, April, for inviting.
You're welcome. Be well, everyone.